Alright guys, did you remember that few days ago I talked about this?
Now I decided to make this channel completely community driven. So I am going to launch many series which are actually going to be community driven, and the series by which you can actually interact with me in order to solve all your doubts.
In this video I am back with the home screen redesign series. So without further delay, let's drop the intro. Before starting this video, if you guys are new here, my name is Shamrio Das and I am a professional graphic designer, video editor and UI UX designer. In this channel we talk about designing tips, tricks and tutorials, so if you are into it then consider subscribing to my channel. But before starting this video, let me wear my very lucky and favorite wristband, because without this I'm not a good instructor. So without further delay, let's drop the intro. Okay, so in this video we are going to make the clone of this Uber application. This is actually a Figma file which I created myself, because as you know, Uber uses fonts and resources that are kinda their own, and it's not ethical to use them for a commercial purpose like YouTube. So I actually recreated this small screen with kind of different kind of fonts as well as the vectors. So let's see how to make these kinds of screens on Figma. So first of all, let's draw a frame similar to this. Here as you can see, I'm using the iPhone 14 Pro Max screen. So let's press F on our keyboard and then let's select iPhone 14 Pro Max. So here as you can see, the frame is actually created. So let me select this frame and just make the corner radius as 40, because always remember, your app designs should look and feel like they are put into a real world mockup. That is very essential in order to demonstrate these app designs to your stakeholders. So it's better to keep them rounded edges, because iPhone have a rounded edge of 40 pixels of corner radius in their actual screenshots. So here as you can see, the corners are now round, and let's first of all make a small circle in order to create these kinds of avatars. So first of all, in this empty frame, let's create a small circle so that we can create space for these kinds of avatars. So for doing that, I will click O on my keyboard and this ellipse tool will be selected. And now with this being selected, I will drag a small circle over here. But as you can see, the circle is getting converted into an oval. So what I will do is that I will hold down Shift while dragging this, so that maintains the proportions and gives us a small actual circle. So let's keep this over here. Also most of this video is actually for demonstration purpose, but while making actual app designs, remember to follow an 8-point design grid. In order to do that, I will just click on this frame and I will add a layout grid. So in this grid, just look around the grid properly. Just change this drop down to columns, and let's keep the count as 4, and let's make this as stretch, and let's give the margin as 16, and let's give the gutter as 20. So this is how we maintain an 8-point grid system. So as you can see, the spacings and all, everything that will be here will be in reference with these kinds of grid system. So right now I will just turn it off. This is just for reference purpose. As and when we require it, we will turn it on. Okay, so right now just maintaining these kinds of UI conventions will actually help us while designing screens in the visual design format. So right now let's check the spacings over here. So as you can see, if I click this circle, this layer is actually selected over here. And if I hold down Option key or Alt key if you are using a Windows, then it will give us the spacing distance from various of the borders from 4 sides. So basically this portion is actually 24 pixels, and this portion is 57, similarly 364 and 832 pixels. Always remember to keep the distances amongst them as a multiple of 8 or 4, because that will help us in order to maintain the 8-point grid system. So let's make this as 56. That sounds cool, and let's write down these kinds of text. So as you know, the Uber application actually uses a font known as Uber Move, which is actually a self-designed font which is used by Uber, and it is not for commercial purpose. So in order to stick to the guidelines of YouTube, I will just use a font which is very similar to that. Here I have used the font known as Poppins because this font is actually very close to the Uber Move font, and also it is a free Google font. It's also web safe, so it's very much safe in order to use in these kinds of videos, as well as these are web safe fonts, so no matter what device you are using, you will be able to view these fonts pretty flawlessly. So let's write down this text over here. For that I have to press T key on my keyboard and click on anywhere in the canvas in order to reveal this cursor. I will write hello Maria, or let's customize it a little bit. We will make Samriddhu because you know my name. And now in order to do that, I have to see the font weight kinda similar to 12, because again I have told we have to maintain the font text styles and font sizes as multiples of 4 in order to stick to the actual conventional design system. We can't make them as 17, 19, something like that. We shouldn't actually. So in order to stay true to the conventions, we will just keep it at 12. And also let's check the spacing. It's 60 right now, and I feel it's pretty fine for this particular design. Also let's make this 56. After making this hello Samriddhu, I will just duplicate this layer by clicking down Alt on my keyboard. I'm currently holding Alt on my keyboard and dragging it, so this layer will get duplicated, or otherwise you can also press Ctrl D in order to duplicate this layer, but I prefer the Alt way instead. As you can see, there are now 3 layers, so I will just delete one layer. So now let's change this text to what are you looking. So in this case I have changed the text, and most probably this text is in 24 pixels. So let's try to make it 24. Also remember, when you select particular layer, all its properties appear over in this panel. So make sure to select the property accordingly, because if none of the layer is selected, nothing will appear over here. So let's make this like this, and let's change the spacing to 8 pixels. That sounds cool because it's also a multiple of 4 and 8. Now as you can see, the color of the hello Maria and hello Samriddhu are not same. So for that, in order to make it same, I will just select this hello Samriddhu text. I will press I on my keyboard, and this will reveal a small magnifying glass along with the color picker tool. So with this I will just click on this color in order to make it similar in color. So as you can see, it's kind of well put together and it's kind of looking similar. Also I have to make these kinds of boxes in order to make the small widgets. In order to do that, I will press the R key on my keyboard and it will turn on the rectangle key. Now rectangle key will basically make rectangles, but again if you hold down shift while dragging, it will give us perfect squares. So in order to do that, let's make it like this. Let's position it like this, and also the positions are kind of same because 24 and 56, that's the point system we are maintaining. And let's duplicate it once more. Also remember to keep it as 12, the spacing between them should be 12, because again we are maintaining a grid system over here, and we will increase it like this. Let's make them 24 on each side. 2 pixels or less, so I will just zoom in and I will reduce the size. Also remember, while changing down the shapes and all, I am holding down the Alt or I am holding down the Shift key in order to make it proportional. And also don't worry guys, this is actually a non-scripted video. As I am teaching, I am like making out the script over here. I am talking instantly, so bear with me if you feel little bit script is going out of the way. So right now these boxes are created, and let's remember to make them as give them a little bit of corner radius. So we will select this and we will give a corner radius of 36. This is actually looking too much, so let's stick with 24, and 24 looks perfectly fine. But again we have to make small 4 squares in the same way. So we will just select both of these squares, reduce the size, again scale it down, And now as you can see, as I'm scaling it down, the corner radius is basically similar, so the square is actually changing it to more circular shape. But no worries, we'll fix that later. So now let's make them duplicated, and again let's change the spacing between them as 12. Let's change the space corner radius as 12 as well. So now it's looking well put together. Now we will space them over here, and we will increase the width to match the upper texts or the upper squares basically. Now the squares are kinda looking, the grid is kinda looking cool. Now we have to remember that this color and this color is not exactly similar. So again I will select all the squares together, press I key and then select this color. So now all the squares are changed in color altogether. Now remember that these rides, eats, pantry, transit, etc. are actually text layers. So we have to duplicate these text layers over here. But as I'm duplicating this text layer, you can see that it is going behind the square layer. So in order to do that, in order to fix that, we have to actually bring the text layer over to these rectangles. We can do that by clicking on the box bracket key. Remember, whenever we click on the box bracket open key, it will actually send the text layer to the bottommost layer, bottommost position. And when we click on the box bracket close key, the text layer will come to the front. So this is something you have to remember just, and I will just write down, increase the size a little bit, and I will just write down rides. Again I will check the spacing. I will keep the spacing as 16 on one side, as 24 basically. So now it's 24 from each side of the square. So again I will duplicate it over here, and I will change the text as eats. Now I will take this layer and I will bring it down, and I will reduce the size to 12, and let's make this pantry. And also let's check the spacing. It's 8 currently, so it's cool. So I'm just duplicating this text layer over to here like this, and remember to do one thing. These text layers are actually center aligned to these rectangular layers. So what I will do is that I will make this text to center aligned, because what it will do is that it will change the orientation like this, whereas in previous cases if we are changing the orientation, if we change the text layer, it will go like this. So you know this already, because most of us actually already use apps like Photoshop, PowerPoint, etc. So let's make this center aligned. So now I will change the text to transit, scooter and connect. Now again we can see that there is another small subheading over here. So let me duplicate this down, and I will do the spacing as 36. So now I will again change the text to go again, but this text and this text are not totally similar, because the font size of this is quite bigger. So we will make the font size as 20 over here, and also we will make the small subheadings over here. So let's write Uber X, and let's give space right now, because if we try to give arrows like this, it will look kinda this. So it's better to give spaces, and we can actually add arrows later. So now let's make again a small circle. For this circle actually we are going with the size of 42 by 42. So as you can see, the 42 by 42 sized circle is here, and also we have to write this small text over here. Let's write that. Let's select the font text for text size as 12 in order to make it small, and also reduce the weight a little bit. Let's keep this at regular. let's solve the spacing problem over here, and now it's looking kind of fine. Now let's draw this straight line dividers by clicking on the L keyboard, and it will select the line tool. As you can see, the line tool, so we can create a small line over here. Remember to hold down the shift key, then it will actually align with 45 degrees of angle. So if you hold down the shift key, it will be a straight line actually. So I will just check around the text space. And now we have to add another same duplicated thing over here, but before doing that, let's fix the colors, because as you can see, the colors are not totally similar. So we have to select the color again by pressing on the I key and by clicking here, and the similar thing will go ahead with this. So as you can see, the colors are fixed. Now one important thing that we actually forgot to do is actually changing down the text color of these particular layers. So we will completely make them black. So let's make it 000. So now it's looking kinda good. Also, these rides and these rides are actually a little bit too much far from the edges, so I will just make it 20. Remember to hold down the Alt or Option key in order to check the spacings and guides. And again, now let's duplicate this over here to select the spacing, and yeah, it's completely done. So now we have to change the text over here. So let's click on this and make it premium, and let's change this to Bay Club. Also, the sizes will definitely matter, so let's make these as 16. So now as you can see, it's looking kind of well put together. Now we have to use all these pictures and icons and small things like that, and in order to do that, I basically use two major plugins. One is Flaticon and another is Iconify. So remember, in order to use any plugin, you can click on this button and click on the plugins tab and search for Iconify. So as you can see, this small smiley icon is the plugins icon which we are actually going to use. So let's click on run. Plugins actually take a little bit time to run, and as you can see, we can get pretty much all the icons from here. So now, as I was practicing for this particular UI screen, I was checking chevron, so it remembered the last searched item which I actually searched here. So I will just drag it out because this is something which I actually like, because this has rounded edges and all. So this is something which I am going to be placing here. Also remember to align this with these circular layers, because the basic parent cell of this particular list view is this circular layer. So let's align this. Yeah, perfectly centered. And again, let's duplicate this, and yeah, perfectly centered. So that's looking kind of nice. And let's again select the colors from the reference screenshot. Now the colors are already changed. Again, you can check this Iconify plugin in order to get these kinds of arrows, but in order to save time, I will just duplicate from here, and it's now here. Similarly, I will just duplicate it down here as well. But one thing I noticed that I have to take the spacing a little bit more, maybe one space more. So I will so everything is looking kinda cohesive and well put together. So now it's looking perfectly fine. And for this particular images, I have used the plugin known as Flaticon. So in this Flaticon plugin, you will actually be able to get all the kinds of icons made by different creators around the world. So like, let's search cars, and all the different icons for cars will come here. See, like these. So for now, in order to save time, I will just copy these particular images in order to make the thing more simpler. So as you can see, I have copied these items over here to my actual screenshot, and also we have to take a realistic photograph for this particular avatar. In order to do that, I will just select this layer and I will run the Unsplash plugin. Let's run this and let's search for a man over here. So these are actually the images which you can actually use for free. These are copyright free, so you can actually use them in your app as well. So I will keep this photo over here. Now remember, this photo is actually not completely centered. In order to do that, I will select this image and I will click on this image thumbnail and I will choose crop from the drop down. So in order to do that, it will actually crop the image as and when I say it to do. So now let's make the image larger and make the head centered. Let's raise it a little bit and here you go. So now we have successfully replicated the reference screenshot to an empty canvas. So you can also do that in your own way. Always remember that whenever you are facing some kind of visual design challenges, remember to do a 100-day UI challenge. This is actually told to me by various other senior designers in my company as well, and this is nothing but basically replicating one design from Dribbble or Pinterest or anyone by yourself like this. It will actually seriously improve your visual design skills a lot. You will know how to use textual hierarchies, how to use different kinds of images, how to play with colors, how to play with fonts, how to play with small vectors and something like that. So this will actually tremendously improve your visual design skills. So I think that you have actually enjoyed these kinds of videos. This is actually a series and I will keep on posting other videos like this. Also, if you want me to design any specific app, then let me know in the comment section below. I will pick out the app from the App Store or Play Store and I will make the replication of that particular design over here in Figma, and I will teach you also so you guys can follow along. So that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon so that you guys never miss a video. Till then, stay creative and I hope to see you in my next video.